The Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis.
From the VON Newsline, this is the VON Major Newscast.
Good evening, I am Tashon Tyson in with your VON Mini News Package for today, Friday 3rd May 2019. In our lead stories, nationally, Gladys France named patron for Culturama 45, and Reese Walters convicted for the 2014 murder of 15-year-old Shante Claxton. Regionally, new states of emergency declared in 3 parishes in Jamaica. Internationally, DR Congo Ebola deaths pass 1,000. And in sports, ODI test boost for Windies ahead of World Cup. We'll have the details of these and other stories after this message.
Another look.
Different from how you've seen it before.
Another look.
Takes an in-depth look into business, politics, science, technology, religion, and more.
Another look.
Featuring documentaries from the BBC, regional features, and local ones too.
Another look.
Every Monday at 3 p.m. on the Eastern Caribbean's powerhouse, Vaughan.
Welcome back, another national news in detail.
Ladies and gentlemen, our patron for Culturama 45 is none other than Miss Felicia Hicks. Put your hands together, please. Felicia Hicks. And just in case you're wondering who is Felicia Hicks, she is more popularly known as Gladys France. So put your hands together again, please.
Member of the 2019 Culturama Committee and Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Culture, Mr. Keith Glasgow. The patron was revealed during what was dubbed a media launch of the activities for Culturama 45, held at the Mount Nevis Hotel today, Friday 3rd May 2019. Meantime, Minister of Culture, the Honorable Eric Evelyn, in his address at the launch, called for the support of nationals in the diaspora for the festival.
I want to join with the other speakers before in encouraging our visitors and our friends and family in the diaspora to come home for the festival. We want to make this another homecoming event. We had a homecoming for the 40th, and we want to make Culturama 45 another homecoming.
The Honorable Eric Evelyn. 26-year-old Reese Walters of Cotton Ground here on Nevis was today convicted for the murder of 15-year-old Shante Claxton. The lifeless body of Claxton, a resident of Jessop's Village, was found on the bathroom floor of the St. Thomas's Primary School in 2014. The case had begun on Tuesday with the prosecution led by Director of Public Prosecution Valston Graham, who called 17 witnesses. Justice Emin Moise gave his submissions today, and a 12-member jury delivered a unanimous verdict of guilty. Walters had been remanded to Her Majesty's prison while he awaits sentencing. Officers of the Royal St. Christopher and Nevis Police Force are currently investigating an armed robbery that occurred on St. Kitts. The incident is reported to have taken place at a bakery in Sandy Point on Thursday, 2nd May 2019. According to a police communique, the robbery took place at about 10:15 p.m. as 3 employees of the bakery and 1 other individual were offloading the delivery buses at the establishment. It is understood that while they were executing their duties, they were approached by 2 masked assailants who demanded money, one of whom had what appeared to be a firearm. They took a sum of money from one of the employees before fleeing the scene. No one was injured during the incident. Anyone who may have information pertaining to this incident is asked to contact the Criminal Investigation Department, their nearest police station, or the crime hotline at 707. Investigations into the matter are ongoing. An autopsy has confirmed the cause of death of the Federation's 10th homicide victim, Constance Thompson Gums. On Monday, April 29th, police responded to a report and found the body of Thompson Gums lying motionless in the living room of her house in Connery, St. Kitts, with multiple stab wounds in various parts of her body. The district medical officer, Dr. Maria Warner, was summoned to the scene and pronounced Thompson dead. Personnel from the forensic unit processed the scene and took items of evidential value into custody. Forensic pathologist Dr. Valerie Alexandrov performed the autopsy on the body of the 77-year-old on May 1st and concluded that her death was as a result of hemorrhagic shock due to multiple stab wounds. This latest incident brings the murder toll for the Federation to 10 thus far for 2019. The 3D model of the new Bastia High School, BHS, was revealed on Thursday, May 2nd, at the site of the new ultra-modern school at Ponds Extension in East Bastia. In light of the aforementioned, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Education, the Honorable Sean Richards, speaking at the unveiling ceremony, said that education is on the move in St. Kitts and Nevis. The school will feature floor space of nearly 200,000 square feet and classrooms to accommodate 1,000 students. Special attention has been given to the teaching staff at the school, Deputy Prime Minister Richard said. The new school will house a 1,200 minimum seating capacity auditorium and stage built for purpose, 32 classrooms, each with a maximum capacity of 30 students, a music center comprising of 2 dedicated music rooms, 4 science labs, 6 computer labs, a dedicated lecture room, and 5 dedicated vocational workshops. The new state-of-the-art school will be located on 13.93 acres of land and is the only one of its kind in the Eastern Caribbean. The project is estimated to cost the taxpayers of St. Kitts and Nevis $80 million. A sitting of the National Assembly has been slated for Thursday, May 9th at 10 a.m. at the National Assembly Chambers, Government Headquarters in St. Kitts. This comes after a sitting was postponed earlier this week. According to a release from the Office of the Speaker regarding the postponement of the sitting of the National Assembly, which was slated for Tuesday, April 30th, the release stated, and I quote, "The public is informed that due to unforeseen circumstances which developed within the Office of the Speaker of the National Assembly during the course of Monday, April 29, 2019, it became necessary for the sitting of Parliament scheduled for April 30th to be cancelled." End quote. And finally, turning a bite into a catch. That's the theme for this year's 6th annual fishing tournament, which will be hosted by the Indian Castle Fisher Folk Association. The event is slated for Monday, May 6, 2019 at 5 a.m. and all fishers must return at 4 p.m. It will be completed only on the course at the Indian Castle area, and competitors are judged through a series of categories such as the most catch, largest fish, and most pounds. Boat owners can register up to the day of the event. Prior to Sunday, registration can be completed at the gas station situated in Church Ground. The registration fee is EC $150 and it is non-refundable. That's the national news segment. You can visit our website at www.vonradio.com or check us out on Facebook at Von Radio or our Von Radio YouTube channel for these and other stories. News from across the region is next.
Ladies and gentlemen, this here's another one for the steppers.
Swipe to win big in 2019. That's right, the Bank of Nevis Limited is once again giving you, our valued customers, a chance to win big. Just swipe or use your Bond Visa credit card for US $100 for a chance to win a cruise for two, an iPhone XS, or a grocery dash at Best Buy Supermarket.
Say what?
Sign up for a Bond Visa credit card and automatically be entered for a chance to win. This offer ends August 31st, 2019. So tell your friends and family to swipe to win big with the Bank of Nevis. The Bank of Nevis Limited, improving the quality of life. Like us on Facebook or follow us on Instagram.
Welcome back. Another regional news in detail. Out of Jamaica. Business and hotel interests in the western side of the country say they are in full support of the declaration of states of public emergency SOEs in the parishes of St. James, Hanover, and Westmoreland. They say that while it is never the most ideal of situations, it would have been impossible to sit idly and allow the wanton and despicable behavior of criminal gunmen to continue and do nothing. President of the Montego Bay Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Winston Lawson, said his organization has described the unequivocal action taken by the government to cauterize crime as necessary. According to data, between January 1st and April 28th of this year, 29 persons were murdered in Westmoreland, 27 persons were murdered in St. James, and 18 persons were murdered in Hanover. Last year, 97 persons were murdered in Westmoreland, 84 persons were murdered in Hanover, and 55 persons were murdered in St. James. During the SOEs, the security forces will have the power to search, curtail operating hours of business, restrict access to places, and detain people without a warrant. A state of public emergency was first declared in St. James on January 18, 2018, but ended on January 31, 2019, after the opposition refused to support any further extensions. Out of Trinidad and Tobago. Minister of National Security, Stuart Young, said he had already signed deportation orders for Venezuelan criminals operating in Trinidad and Tobago. Speaking at yesterday's post-cabinet briefing at the Diplomatic Center in St. Anne's, he also gave updates to the government responses to the unrest in Venezuela by way of a temporary amnesty for migrants already in TNT, plus the deployment of the country's military assets to safeguard TT's borders. Young said after the period of registration of Venezuelans from May 31st to June 14th, the law would revert to normal. Mr. Young and Attorney General Faris Al-Rawi had on Wednesday met the UN High Commissioner for Refugees, UNHCR, and the International Organization for Migration, largely to discuss Venezuela. Mr. Young stated that he made it very clear to the UNHRC in that meeting that if anybody was caught or detained in any criminal activity, he would deport them. After June 14th, the government would not extend the registration period. He alluded to a heightened response to Wednesday's unrest in Venezuela. Still in Trinidad. One day after appearing in court in Trinidad for misbehavior in public office, former Attorney General Anand Ramlogan was arrested by officers of the Anti-Corruption Investigations Bureau, ACIB. Ramlogan, along with opposition Senator Gerald Ramdeen, were both at the ACIB office in Port of Spain for most of Wednesday, while several houses and offices were searched by police. Ramlogan was arrested at Piaco International Airport at 4 a.m. while he was on his way to the British Virgin Islands for a court matter where he is representing that country's House Speaker, Julian Bullock, in a civil matter. Ramdeen surrendered to police 3 hours later. Ramlogan and Ramdeen are being questioned following allegations regarding payment of legal fees to attorneys while Ramlogan was Attorney General. Ramdeen is an attorney working in Ramlogan's Freedom Law Chambers. In 2017, Ramlogan was charged with perverting the course of public justice and misbehavior in public office after head of the Police Complaints Authority, PCA, David West, made certain allegations to the police. Ramlogan is currently on a $350,000 bail in that matter and will return to court on July 9th. And finally, out of Suriname. The Foreign Minister of Suriname, Ildes Polak Bale, was in Ghana last week to open her country's first embassy in Africa since the closure of its mission in South Africa. The embassy was opened in Accra, Ghana, the ancestral home of many Surinamese. Citizens of all African countries can now apply for the Suriname e-visa or e-tourist card to enter the country. Suriname requires a visa for citizens of all African countries and has promised that the embassy would promote cultural exchanges and visits for tourists via e-visa and e-tourist card. Ethnic ties between Suriname and Ghana date back to the transatlantic slave trade era, but there are little economic and cultural exchanges between those two countries. Ghanaian languages are still spoken in Suriname, and Ghanaian customs and traditions outside of Ghana have survived in Suriname. That's it for the regional stories. Stay with us for news from around the world. Welcome back, and now the international news in detail. The death toll from the Ebola epidemic in the Democratic Republic of Congo has passed 1,000, the health ministry says. DRC's Ebola outbreak began in August and is the second deadliest in history. World Health Organization Deputy Director Dr. Michael Ryan said mistrust and violence was harming efforts to tackle the disease as it spread through the east of the country. There have been 119 documented attacks on medical centers and staff since January, Dr. Ryan said. WHO staff anticipated continued intense transmission, he added in a briefing to reporters in Geneva. The Taliban in Afghanistan has rejected calls for a Ramadan ceasefire and attacked the Traditional Council or Loya Jirga, which made the proposal. The Grand Assembly is meeting in Kabul this week to discuss peace and called for an immediate ceasefire between the government and militants. President Ashraf Ghani agreed to a truce provided it was not one-sided. But the Taliban rejected the call and accused members of being government allies. In 2018, the Taliban agreed to a 3-day ceasefire coinciding with Eid at the end of the holy month of Ramadan, their first since the 2001 US-led invasion. More than 1 million people along India's east coast are sheltering in relief centers as the area is battered by the worst summer cyclone in over 40 years. Cyclone Fani brought wind speeds of more than 200 kilometers per hour. The BBC's Rahul Tandon reports from near the coastal city of Puri.
What we haven't got much information on is what the situation is like in Puri, which is near the epicenter of this storm. Those people in the shelters, what has happened to their houses? What has happened to their fishing boats, many of them from the fishing community? Those stories will now begin to unfold in the next few hours as people can get back out and see what has happened. We have seen here in Bhubaneswar, one of the biggest hospitals, the roof of a student accommodation there blowing off. We know the hospital has been damaged as well.
And finally, the United Nations has said North Korea's last harvest was its worst in over a decade, as increasing shortages in the country, which is already desperate for food, escalate. The BBC's Michael Bairstow reports.
Dry spells, heat waves and floods all contributed to the worst harvest in a decade. A UN survey carried out last month found 10 million North Koreans, 40% of the population, now suffer from a severe lack of nutrition. They don't have enough to eat until the next harvest. North Korea has long had to rely on outside help to feed its people, but aid has fallen over recent years because of anger over Pyongyang's nuclear and missile programs. On Thursday, South Korea said it had no immediate plans to provide food assistance to the north.
That brings us to the end of our news segments. The latest in sports is next.
Let City Drugstore Nevis help you show your gratitude this Mother's Day to your mom. Show her just how much you care with gift packages and baskets, or adorn her with jewelry, cosmetics, and beauty supplies. All at affordable prices to fit any pocket on any budget. After all, it's the thought that counts. Visit CDS Nevis today for that special gift to say thanks, Mom. CDS Nevis, the place to get all your gifts for Mother's Day.
Welcome back. Another sports in detail. In cricket, West Indies has been handed a ranking boost ahead of the World Cup after overhauling Sri Lanka to climb to 8th in the ICC one-day international charts on Thursday. The Caribbean side gained 4 rating points to move to 80, while Sri Lanka remained stagnant on 76, following the annual update which saw the removal of the 2015-2016 results and those between 2016 and 2018 computed at 50%. For the Windies, the rise comes on the back of their outstanding performance in the recent 5-match series against world number 1 England, when they snatched a 2-all tie. That series result saw them draw level on 76 points with the Sri Lankans last match, but remain in 9th spot. They can further solidify their rankings when they face host Ireland and Bangladesh in a tri-nation series in Dublin starting Sunday. Poor results there, however, especially against 7th place Bangladesh, could see the Windies slip to 9th again heading into the World Cup, which runs from May 30th to July 14th. England, meanwhile, remains a top-ranked side but will need to beat Ireland and Pakistan in the upcoming series in order to enter the World Cup at the summit. Still in cricket, West Indies arrived in Ireland on Wednesday evening as they prepared for the upcoming tri-nation series featuring the host nation and Bangladesh. On arrival, assistant coach Roddy Estwick spoke to CWI Media and outlined the team's plans ahead of the first match against Ireland. The match will be played on Sunday at the Clontarf Cricket Ground in Dublin. First ball is 10:30 a.m., 5:30 a.m. Eastern Caribbean Time. Estwick said the Caribbean side will use the upcoming tournament as part of their preparations for the ICC Cricket World Cup 2019, England and Wales, from May 30th to July 14th. In football, Liverpool lived with Barcelona and Lionel Messi for 75 minutes of this Champions League semi-final first leg, then discovered there is a force too powerful to resist. Jurgen Klopp's side may have trailed to Liverpool's Luis Suarez first half goal, but in all other aspects they were in control and looking like taking a very presentable result back to Anfield next week. A Liverpool equalizer looked a more likely outcome than further Barcelona additions, as they controlled possession in the arena, where it is the king and push their opponents back into their own territory. Scores: Barcelona 3, Liverpool 0. And finally, 15-time major winner Tiger Woods will be presented with America's highest civilian honor by President Donald Trump in Washington next week. The 43-year-old, who won the Masters at Augusta in April, will receive the Presidential Medal of Freedom at a White House ceremony on Monday, May 6th. American Woods overcame persistent injury problems, including 4 back operations, culminating in fusion surgery in April 2017, to win his first major title for 11 years with a one-shot victory at Augusta. Trump had already revealed in a tweet last month that Woods was to receive the honor following his performance at the Masters. That's it for sports. The general weather forecast is next. Welcome back. Another local weather forecast for St. Kitts and Nevis. The weather tonight will be partly cloudy to cloudy with a 20% or slight chance of a brief overnight shower. Weather tomorrow will be partly sunny with a 20% or slight chance of a brief shower. Winds are east with average speeds between 10 to 18 knots or 19 to 33 kilometers per hour, with higher spells over elevated terrain and exposed coastal areas along the eastern side of the islands. Seas are 1.5 to 2.1 meters or 5 to 7 feet. Small craft operators should exercise caution against choppy seas. Sunrise tomorrow will be at 5:44 a.m. And that's her wrap up the major news package for today, Friday, 3rd May 2019. Before we go, let's take a look at the headlines once again. Nationally, Gladys France named patron for Culturama 45, and Reese Walters convicted for the 2014 murder of 15-year-old Shanti Claxton. Regionally, new states of emergency declared in 3 parishes in Jamaica. Internationally, DR Congo Ebola deaths passed 1,000. And in sports, ODI test boost for West Indies ahead of World Cup. On behalf of the rest of the news team, I am Tashan Tyson, wishing you a safe and an enjoyable weekend.